Hey guys, welcome to the Bill Anderson Sports Show. I'm Bill Anderson, and I have a question for you. Is it time for the Steelers to move on from Mike Tomlin? It's a fair question, right? I mean, he hasn't won a playoff game since 2016, hasn't been to a Super Bowl since the 2010-11 season, where he was beat by the Green Bay Packers, my Green Bay Packers. And hey, I'm not bragging because they haven't been done fared a whole ton better. But I think it's just a fair question. I mean, the league has moved so much towards the offense that I think defensive coaches, unless they have a really good offensive coordinator, are kind of being left in the dust. And the Steelers have had, what was it? I think it was in 2020, maybe it was 2019, where they got off to this amazing start. I think they won their first 10 or 11 games. And then late in the season, it just kind of fell apart and they were out in the first round, which kind of seems to be the story for the Steelers over the last 5, 6 years, and then get to last year. Last year they had a not good year. I mean, they did go to the playoffs. They lost in the first round. Now this year, I know you don't have Big Ben. Big Ben retired, but Big Ben was a shell of himself last year. Didn't take good care of himself. He just was a shell of himself. But what's really got me questioning whether it's time for Mike Tomlin to go is the fact that the last 2 years, last year, the Steelers had the 23rd ranked offense, and so far to start this year out, they have the 30th ranked offense. Now, people are going to say, "Well, T.J. Watt's hurt." Are you so dependent upon one player being there that if they're gone, your defense falls apart? That's not winning. That's not winning football. That's not a winning success. You just can't succeed that way. And their offensive line for years now has been not good. The one thing they do have is really amazing wide receivers. There's something with Pittsburgh. They churn out wide receivers like they're candy. But you need it. We don't know what Kenny Pickett's going to be. He might just be a Hall of Famer. We don't know. But we don't know right now. And the Steelers are a proud organization. I mean, heck, and they're steady. So I don't expect that they're going to go out at the end of this year and fire Mike Tomlin. I think he's probably safe. But the question has to be asked because they're not even performing well on the defensive side of the ball, his side of the ball. The whole team is going down. And now I know you need a quarterback in the NFL now. If you don't have the quarterback, you're not winning. It's just the way it is. Nothing we can do about it. It's the way it is. But when your side of the ball is failing, something's got to give. And it's not just Tomlin. We see other defensive coaches around the league. Bill Belichick is struggling, right? Now, doesn't have Tom Brady anymore. It's reasonable to say you're going to go downhill when Tom Brady's gone. But at the same time, there's guys in this league coaching, offensive coaches that are having success, and they don't have Tom Brady or they don't have Ben Roethlisberger. Whereas you see the defensive guys, they're struggling. Ron Rivera in Washington. All right, Staley out in San Diego or Los Angeles, the LA Chargers. Like, there isn't a fourth down that guy won't won't go. It's like the defensive coaches, if unless they have a top offensive coordinator, and let's face it, when you got a top offensive coordinator, look what happened in Buffalo. He came over to the Giants. Right? Came over to the Giants. Giants look pretty good with Daniel Jones. So that's my only thing. Mike Tomlin has been a highly successful football coach in the National Football League, but I would argue that after Bill Cowher's influence was completely gone from that football team, they haven't been back. Right? Tomlin took over 2007. I think it was 2007. Won a Super Bowl in 2008. Went back to the Super Bowl after the 2010 season. And since then, and it's pretty reasonable to say, after that, other than Big Ben, all of Coach Cowher's pieces were gone. Hines Ward was gone. They were gone. And you get past Coach Cowher's groups, they haven't won significant playoff games. They didn't have winning records against most playoff teams that they faced. Let's face it, while they were winning divisions, they had Baltimore, and Baltimore won a Super Bowl in the middle of all that. But for the most part, they're beating up 4 games a year on the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Steelers, who through the most of the last decade and a half, if not all, had the best quarterback in division. Now you have Deshaun Watson when he's come back. Well, he's better than anything Pittsburgh has. Clearly, you have Lamar Jackson. A lot of people don't like Lamar Jackson, but you can't argue with the results. 70% of his games he wins. All right? Joe Burrow. What did Joe Burrow do last year? Oh, yeah, he took the Cincinnati Bengals to the Super Bowl with the worst offensive line in football. Right? So what's Mike Tomlin going to do to combat that? He ain't going to do anything with the 30th ranked defense this year. And again, like I said earlier, if you're dependent totally upon TJ Watt to come back to boost you, you're too flawed to have any real success. And if there's one thing we know about the Watts, those guys get hurt. That's coming from a Wisconsin guy, folks. Love those guys. Love those guys. JJ and TJ Watt, they're hurt a lot. Okay? So you can't depend on him to be there for 17 games. Maybe you could depend on him to be there for 7 or 8. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Whew. Anyway, that's just my thoughts. If I'm Pittsburgh, I'm looking to move towards an offensive coach. If I'm most teams in this league, the way offense is, because you're going to go and you find a good offensive coordinator and he brings you success. He's there a year or 2 tops, and then he's gone. So, if I'm Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh, Tomlin's the 3rd coach in my life that Pittsburgh has had. I'm 47 years old. So I'm thinking they'll probably give him another year past this, but this is a proud organization. This is a proud fan base, a fan base that's used to winning. They're not going to put up with this long. and they got to get it figured out. But if I'm Pittsburgh, if I'm the owner, I'm thinking about moving on. I think you have to. Let me know what you guys think. Give me some comments. Like, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys.